There is no denying that Darth Vader is the main man of Star Wars. And in my 1/6 scale quest to get some of the most iconic and meaningful characters to me, Darth Vader had to be on that list. And I got this 1/6 scale Hot Toys A New Hope Darth Vader recently, and let me tell you, oh man, this is by far one of my favorite Hot Toys figures. So, in the quest for a Darth Vader, I had some things in mind. What's my favorite original trilogy movie? A New Hope. What's my favorite Darth Vader costume? I'm pretty partial to the original A New Hope look, but I also love Empire and Return of the Jedi. What was the most epic scene with Darth Vader? The Rogue One hallway scene. What did he look like? This. So this is actually specifically the Darth Vader that came in the Grand Moff Tarkin 2-pack, which, in hindsight, I probably should have just gotten that 2-pack because Tarkin's my favorite original trilogy character. But, you know, yeah, I wasn't really delving into this when that came out. Unfortunately, I do not have a package to show you because he does come from the 2-pack, but he basically is just the A New Hope Darth Vader as he is here. And let me tell you, man, this figure is one of my favorite Hot Toys in my entire collection. Easily top 5, easily, because this thing is gorgeous. Do I have a couple issues with it? Yes, just a couple. But let me tell you, man, this thing is something to behold. So first, let's look at what he comes with. You get a couple spare 1/6 scale wrist pegs. Always nice to have those. You get batteries, because he does have some battery functions, a couple on the figure, and then one on an alternate arm, because he does come with alternate hands. Unfortunately, I will never use any of these, and I'll talk about why. But he does come with an alternate arm here with the lightsaber in his hand. This is actually one that lights up. The Hot Toys light-up lightsabers are notorious for not being very bright or very worth it, so I'll probably never use that. For alternate hands, he has an open right hand. He has a closed fist left hand, which is the only other hand I've used on his left hand, and I will never put it on again. He has like a choking right hand, which is pretty cool. He has a pointing right hand, which is also pretty cool. And all of the hands have very nice details on the gloves, too, and they're consistent details as well. He has left and right holding hands for his belt, so he can kind of have the nice belt holding pose, which Vader did in A New Hope. This is a left grip hand right there. And then that's the belt holding hand for his right hand. And the hands he has on him are the hands that he will always have on him for the rest of his life. He has his right lightsaber grip hand right there. Looking at the pre-done one, seems like the saber should be a little more down. And he has his left gestural hand where he can do like Luke, you know, turn to the dark side, Luke, even though this isn't the movie where we know that I'm your father. You know, it's still a really cool hand, though. And, of course, he has his lightsaber, which you can remove the blade. But the lightsaber is really nice. Let me just take it out of his hand and show you the detail on this, because it is gorgeous. I'm a big fan of Darth Vader's lightsaber, and this is by far the nicest version of it I have in my collection. It's got a little metal chain there for the loop, and you can actually put it on his belt too if you want, which is very nice, but I'll always have him holding it. You can remove the blade, obviously, because of that alternate light-up saber. But that goes in his hand really nicely, slips in without any concern, in my opinion. And, of course, he is a Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure, so you do get the display base. These things collect dust so quickly. I've had this thing for maybe a week or two, and it already has all that dust on it. It's got the crotch cradle. Honestly, pretty weak on this. It's not a very good crotch cradle, in my opinion, and I think it could be a lot better. Does have the name plaque on it as well. This thing comes off very easily. I actually lost it before I filmed this. If you have no plans to remove that, I'd say just glue it on. But let's look at Vader himself here, because this guy's gorgeous. So, I just want to get my main complaint out of the way right now. And that's the fact that swapping out his hands, forget about it. They are the worst. They're the actual worst. Because the material for his suit is like that pleathery material. And as far as I have seen, it's not just going to flake off on you. It's not just going to, dissipate like the old Hasbro ones did. But I don't know how long this will last, and that's very tragic. Because to put the gloves on, you have to like really turn it and squeeze it, and you can see it's still bunched up. it's still bunched up because I couldn't get all the material in the glove. Honestly, the material just should have ended right there. It should have just ended right there, and that should have just been empty arm, because having the material go all the way, it bunches it up, and unfortunately getting this hand in, this hand was not even in when I bought this guy. I had to heat up this hand and push it on so hard. I don't know if this was already damage that was there from the previous owner, but the seam is coming undone. And I feel like it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I did put a little bit of super glue on it to kind of contain it. But yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't feel like that was my fault because I was trying to be as careful as I could getting that glove on. And I finally popped it in. Thankfully, it's not really sticking out too bad or anything. But yeah, I'm just worried that that seam's just going to keep going and worse and worse. Thankfully, it's the seam. So like worst case scenario, it can just be re-glued or re-stitched or whatever. But still, very disappointing that the material choice, number one, was a little too extra, and number two, kind of results in you damaging the figure trying to just swap out the hands. Because I was tempted to cut off the material, but by then it was already too late. It had already damaged the seam a bit, and that probably could have already been from the previous owner, because the previous owner hadn't even put the hand on all the way. It fell off right when I got it. So that's great. But other than that, though, I'm really happy with this figure. He does have lights in these little boxes here. There's little tiny switches. Flick them. Just flick them. And you won't really be able to see the light too well. You can see it a little bit right here. But his light boxes, the green, do light up. So that's pretty cool. I will probably never use those because I'm just afraid of the, the LEDs burning out or the batteries dying super quick. But still, that's a really nice detail. Unfortunately, New Hope Vader does not have lights in his chest box. That would have been cool to have. I do not think his chest box has lights at all. So that's kind of disappointing. But still, the chest box looks gorgeous. Let's talk about his materials. The cape is a gorgeous material. It drapes so well. It just lays over him perfectly. It's so easy to manipulate and work with. I love his cape. His armor is very nice and solid. I don't feel like that's going to break. I don't feel like it's brittle or anything. His helmet is also that nice, good plastic. This material, the material itself is not flaking or anything, but as you can see, it's not as good on the seam as it could be, and I think there's just too much of the material on the arms that makes the arms impossible to move. So his skirt is really nice because it actually has a bendy wire in it. I was surprised. So you can't actually pose the skirt, and I was really surprised with that. It's kind of funny that the rest of the cape doesn't have that, but the skirt does. But still, it really does allow you to get some cool dynamic looks. The same kind of pleathery material does continue on the legs. And like I said, it seems to be holding up so far so good. I mean, this figure's about 5 years old now at this point. So, I mean, it's looking good. The boots are nice. They do have, it is not a split cut boot design, but it is a 1/6 scale ball joint. And you still can get some tilt out of it. And then he has the shin plate right there. But yeah, materials are nice. I really like that. Let's look at the details now. So this helmet perfectly replicates the complex deco of Darth Vader's helmet from A New Hope. You may think, oh, it's really got some nice sheens to it. Yeah, that's because it has like the altering like silver and black and silver and black. Like that side's painted silver and that side's black. Because they thought just the flat black helmet wouldn't really show up well enough on screen. So it had these dynamic colors to it. It even has like a little bit of like complex like shading or damage right there. That little knob's silver, but that knob's not. It's got the silver on the nose. The proportion and the sculpt of the helmet is absolutely perfect. This is Darth Vader. And it poses really well too. We'll get to posability in the end. He's got the little necklace there, which does kind of ride underneath his helmet sometimes, which is a shame. But it's not too hard to get it out. His chest armor is gorgeous. I love that. And I always loved how the tunic goes over the chest armor on the A New Hope design. Just kind of makes him look a little more regal to me. Chest box looks great. I love the look of the chest box. That's really nice. The belt too. I love the little weatherings and things on the edges just to make it look a little worn out. Like Vader's seen some action. Like he was... I mean, A New Hope Vader is fresh fresh from Rogue One, so you know what he was doing in that movie. And The crotch plate looks nice too. Overall, man, it's a gorgeous figure. It really is. The back, you can see it's just more material. Yeah, man, this is something to behold. Articulation, though, let's get into that. So his head is on probably a double ball joint. Looks up pretty good. Gets some decent tilt. Good side to side as well. Really nicely articulated. His shoulders, they're probably on butterflies, but you don't get too much motion out of that. They move up, I would say about that far. Forward, I would say about that far. Elbows, you get pretty decent bend, but again, that material, I'm worried that's not going to withstand it too much, because I really want him like with his arm up like this. That's how I want him displayed, and I'm just worried that material, that seam, just going to keep breaking and breaking. So we'll have to see. His hands basically just amount to a swivel. I really think they should have done that better. His waist, though, you get a lot of articulation out of his waist. Some crunch, decent side to side as well. His hips, pretty limited because of the costume. I'd say they only go out about that far from each other. Forward, I'd say about that far. His knees, though, get pretty good bend. You already saw his ankles, how they can move up and down. You get a little bit of tilt out of them. So, it's Darth Vader. He's a big old mechanized man in a big old mechanized suit. He's not going to have too much posability and articulation, but you know what? It's an amazing figure. If you're a Darth Vader fan and if you're looking for a Hot Toys Vader, this is definitely one that I would recommend. I'm pretty sure that glove issue is going to be a problem with almost all of them. I wouldn't just say that's a problem just with this. I can imagine Hot Toys engineered the gloves every single way the same. One thing I want to note, though, if you do want to swap the arm, there is a cut in this material right here where it's easier to get the arm out. I don't know if there's a zipper. I don't think there's a zipper, but I just wanted to point that out. There is like a split in the material. That probably makes it even easier to, swap the fists too. So I kind of wish that split was on both ends. Probably would have even made it possible for both hands to light up if you wanted to. But you know what? It's all good. At the end of the day, this is still by far one of my favorite Hot Toys figures. Like I said, can't get enough of it. This is quite the collectible to me. This is the kind of thing that will be in my living room or in my dining room behind a glass cabinet, and people will look at it and go, "Oh my gosh, what is that?" And I'm like, that's just the best Darth Vader ever made. It's something, man. I love it. Good old Darth Vader. So, there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching my review of the Hot Toys A New Hope Darth Vader. Definitely a highlight in my collection for sure. Definitely my favorite Darth Vader by far. Yeah, thank you so much. Check out my links down below, and special shout out to the patrons of Patreon. You guys are so awesome. Thank you all so much for the continued support. I genuinely really appreciate it. Alrighty, guys, there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.